Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hello, bonsoir, welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. This is a show where we talk to you about the thing
Mike's Daily Podcast
that is happening in your life when you are, how do you say, living the life, vive la vie, France, and you are happy, and everyone wants to be your friend. They say to you, hey, you are my friend. Together we are friendly. The show is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I am your host, Mathieu. Bonsoir. That's
Mike's
today's song,
Daily
If Mike Were French.
Podcast.
So much for that.
Yeah!
Episode 2304, 2304. Hello and welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast for sure. 2304. Hey, today we're going to cover some stuff that you might find helpful to you in your busy life. For example, here's a question that was not asked of me, but asked of Mark Saltzman, who is the leading high-tech reporter, and he's an Arthur. Arthur, he does what he pleases. All of his life, his masters chose him. Thank you, Dudley Moore. So, he writes for Costco Connection. I talked about him a little bit on the last podcast. I read a couple questions. And I find this fascinating today in this world. Because let's face it, we've been using our tech at home pretty heavy. Some of us that work at home, a lot of us that work from home. So it's all, some of our companies are not as, let's say, spendthrift or spendy, or they spend any money. And we have to purchase new tech equipment, as it were.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I will get to that in a second. But here's a question that Mark was asked. I am buying a new laptop and I see two options: hard drive disk and solid state drive. What's the difference and what's better? Well, this refers to storage. While some computers have both, you need to decide between hard disk drive and solid state drive. Solid state drive offers several benefits over hard disk drive. It's much smaller, lighter, and quieter than a hard drive. That's right, Basil. And Basil was in the picture, the last podcast picture, as we used to go to Half Moon Bay with him. And my lovely lady friend and I were discussing the podcast picture from yesterday. And yes, that was actually taken on a hot August day. It was hot at the Bay, East Bay, where we were in Podcastro Valley, where this podcast comes to you from Podcastro Valley Cafe anyway, the last place on earth. And that was a really hot day that we had spent watching a awful movie with Frank Langella and Cameron Diaz called The Box. It was so bad. Ugh. And afterwards, it was so hot in the house. We had every fan going. We're like, we need to get out of here. And we were just going to go down maybe to Niles, the fine town of Niles in Fremont, California, and maybe accidentally fall into a pool of water around there. But I'm glad we didn't, because we would have probably gotten leeches. And we ended up going to the beach instead. And there was like no traffic. It was beautiful. And our wonderful dog, Basil the Boxer, the late great Basil the Boxer, had a wonderful day. A wonderful day. And you can see that day as we go Australian at Mike'sDailyPodcast.com. All right. So the benefit of the hard drive disk and the solid state drive. The benefit of a traditional hard drive is more storage. Therefore, Mark recommends a laptop with a built-in SSD, perhaps with 256 or 512 gigabytes or GBs of storage, but also pick up an external hard drive for long-term storage that can hold several terabytes of files. 1 terabyte equals roughly 1,000 gigabytes. And like I said last podcast, it takes a long time to fill up that much data for the average person. Another person asks, I see that so basically the answer is yes, get the solid state drive if you want the really light computer, but you also gonna need to get yourself a hard drive, an external hard drive. And I see that external hard drives are coming down in price and increasing in the amount of storage. So that's the way it's gonna go. Your computer is going to have a little bit of storage space, but then there's so much cloud space and everything going on. An external hard drive space. Some new smart TVs have voice support. Is that like my Google Smart Speaker? It depends on which model you have. Smart TVs that include a remote with a microphone let you press a button and ask for something to watch, whether it's on regular cable TV, streaming service, or if it's on streaming services. It might be called voice search. For example, you can ask to watch a specific show on YouTube, or a specific show, or you can watch a YouTube video. Or something more generic like romantic comedies. It's much easier than using your TV's on-screen keyboard to manually type in each letter at a time. Ugh, that's annoying. And then if you misspell it, I hate when it asks for your password for your Wi-Fi. You know, that takes forever. And sometimes a capitalized letter is sometimes more difficult than just leaving it at a lowercase. If your smart TV, as we go outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, has an integrated virtual assistant, you can also ask questions as you would with your Google Smart Speaker, such as, what will the weather be like on the weekend? Or you could give it a command such as, lower the thermostat by 2 degrees if you have a smart thermostat. I don't have any of that, but for some reason Comcast Xfinity decided to send me a free little box called Flex, and I can use that. It's got a little microphone button that I can tell to do certain things. However, I cannot control my volume on it. My Wi-Fi is terrible. What can I do to improve it? Here's what Mark says. Budget permitting, ensure you're getting the fastest speeds possible with your internet service provider, which will likely require a little more per month. Then, place your wireless router on the main or top floor of your home, not in a basement, if you have one, and close to the center of the home for optimal reach. Elevate it by placing it on a desk, table, or bookshelf. Even if it's been a few years since you upgraded your router, the newest models are faster and more secure and support more devices simultaneously. And that's that Wi-Fi 6 we were talking about last podcast. If you live in a larger home or older home with concrete walls, you might consider a mesh network, which includes multiple satellites, to plug into outlets around the home to help broaden the range and eliminate dead zones. And that's pretty much it today. Did I talk about health? No. Did I talk about gardening? No. Did I talk about how this Tuesday, today, after Labor Day Monday, felt more like a Monday than a Tuesday? Did I talk about that? Yes, I just did. Did I talk about how I just heard an interview with Sean Penn? And he was very concerned about anti-vaxxers and about how they are just an interesting lot. Yes. No. Did I talk about how I know somebody? I haven't talked to this person in a while, but I had heard from friends that he had become very anti-vaxxer, and I just discovered this evening that he now has COVID. Yes, that is a thing that's unfortunately happening more and more. People that are not getting vaccinated are getting COVID. Ugh. Should I keep talking about that?
No.
Hey, then we'll not do that, because that person was quite adamant outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Look who's here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Jolly Stewart. Get Jeff Everybody's here. Look who's here, too. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing? Hey, ladies. And look who else is here.
Hey, it's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player telling you what.
What?
I think people should have the freedom to do whatever they want. And if they want to be infected by coronavirus, they should go ahead and do that. Just get it over with.
Somebody I know who is an anti-vaxxer, he said, yeah, I just want to get this over with and get it. And he was saying, I know, that's so sick. But he said, this was his idea. You know how they have those spritzers, like at events, to try and cool you off? They should just fill those with COVID and let you walk through it if you really want to get it. That's just, you know what? Just go to a Republican convention. Sad to say, but that seems to be the best place to get a spreader event and get infected. Because all the people are unvaccinated, not wearing masks. That should fit it just fine. But whatever. Cafe, whatever. It's all about freedom, right? Look who else is here.
Oh, Mike, I make the least root beer half right now. Oh, boy.
We were talking a little bit about root beer at the end of last show, and we missed you. And
drink it right now. I'll cut you.
All right. Dang it. So much violence. Was there any COVID in there?
I don't know. Oh, boy.
I don't feel too good about that. Okay. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley chime in about anything we covered. 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast has done for a couple of days. Look at us. Oh, and I didn't get to a podcast picture. Oh, boy. That was, Macho Man, was it? Oh, boy, this is Macho Man. I could... Everybody in high school was imitating him. He had that really exaggerated voice. So much fun. Well, I would like to post a recent picture, but I am not finding anything very interesting as of late. I mean, I've got cat pictures, but you've seen cat pictures lately. How about a nice sunset picture? This was a few weeks ago. And let's do that. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. I believe this was taken in Fremont. The good old town of Fremont. So there you go. All right. I just drove to Podcastro Valley from Fremont. So forgive me if I've run out of steam. I hit every light coming home from Fremont tonight on Mission Boulevard. Every single light. Everybody had to be walking their dogs, which is good. I like it when people walk their dogs. But I was getting every light where they were trying to cross, so that adds another 30 seconds. Sheesh. So here's to you, to smooth sailing and roads with hopefully green lights all in front of you. That's kind of sounded like the way Casey Kasem wrapped up his show. Oh, but keep looking, reaching or something for heaven or the stars or whatever. And here to take us out, a frame. Thank you.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
I really hate this. I hate when I get the FF episode wrong. The number wrong. I said 2303. Oh, that was last show. This is FF episode 2304. 2304. 234 with a 0 thrown in there somewhere. Dang it. Why can't I remember to look at the numbers correctly? That's why you listen to this podcast, to hear me mess up. Well, there you go. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com.